everyone. Greetings, this time not from home, but from our studio where my husband and I do all our creative work and we teach and basically have fun. In fact, many of my previously posted performances were recorded here in the sculpture studio. Today I wanted to go into the nitty-gritty details of technique of the right hand, because all the ideas, the musical ideas and goals that I mentioned in previous videos, which are listening to what we play, getting a good hand-ear connection so that we can find the notes by ear, these are kind of universal and applicable to any instrument. But then it comes down to how can we hone the tools that are necessary to express all these ideas that we get through listening intently to what we play. And one of the main skills we need to develop is how to separate the notes and how to choose which ones should be in the foreground or the background of our piece. And this is what will give relief and depth and clarity to our interpretation. The ultimate difficult challenge would be to do this within a chord. And I'll start with that, but then I'll divide it in smaller steps. But for example, I'll take a chord and I decide that I'm going to focus on the bass, and then the index finger, and then middle finger, and then the top note, A finger. Now, this is probably one of the most difficult scenarios, but they're all very important, because let's say we have an interesting melody, and if it happens to be traveling in the middle line, in an interior line, then we need to be able to make that come out. Now, how do we work towards this? The main thing is to understand how the guitar produces the sounds and how our hand is able to play one note louder and one note softer. And the thing to understand is that we might be tempted, especially in the beginning, when you want to play louder, is to hook the string and grab it and basically try to force it to play louder. And if you force it, it will sound forced. But if we understand that actually the deeper present sound is obtained by pressing into the string and putting your whole weight into your sound, not just the tip of your finger, but your whole finger, and in fact also the whole weight of your whole palm into the string, then the sound will have depth and presence and control without sounding forced. So paradoxically, in order to have good control and be able to have any finger accentuate a note at will, we need to start by playing everything equally. So having control starts with equalization in a way. So we start very simple, on only 2 fingers on the first string, and I'm trying to get exactly the same sound, and I'm spending quite a bit of time on the string before I play. I'm not trying to play legato, nor am I necessarily now trying to play staccato, which is a very interesting way to play too, but I want to really listen to my sound. And yet I want to spend time on the string so that I can feel the weight of my finger. And so basically your sound will be determined a lot, not just by how you pluck the string, but how you prepare your finger on the string. And then as we get comfortable, we minimize the preparation time and we end up playing the normal legato stroke. And you do this not only with IM, you do it with MA and basically any other combinations of fingers. The ultimate equalizer is the tremolo, of course, because then you need to play all fingers on one string. I like to play it including the thumb, because the thumb is such a big finger and it's very tempting to give accents all over the place with it. But if you have control, then your tremolo will sound good, and 2-string trills also, without it going like really loud sounding thumb. So the tremolo of course here the speed and the actual tremolo sound is not my goal. It's just how to get all fingers to sound the same. So P, A, M, I. And you do this on different strings, so you get comfortable playing on all the strings that you might need. I tend to avoid the basses, especially because I have very weak nails. In fact, I'm recording this without any kind of nail on my A finger. And first I thought I should fix this before I'm talking about sound control. But then I thought, no, this is actually a good way to illustrate that if you have a good understanding of the stroke and of controlling volume, then you can compensate even for nail inconsistencies. Now, don't get me wrong, if I had a concert, I would totally want to have my nail back because I'm working overtime with my A finger to equalize the sound. But here it's proof that it's possible. Then once we do this, so we have an equalized sound on one string and they all sound balanced and we feel our weight equally on all fingers, then you go towards two strings. No, then you go towards playing an accent actually. So I'm putting more weight on the first note and less on the second. And then you switch it around. I am. And you do this, of course, with MA, with IA. What I really like is to do rhythms that rotate the accent. So I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. Or if you want to get really adventurous, I'll do a tremolo, but accent in 3. P, A, M, I, P, A, M, I, P, A, M, I. So just to keep my brain working overtime. So once we can give accents at will on one string, then we can do this on two strings, on two separate strings. Let's say M, I, M, I. So I'm leaning into my M finger more. I'm putting more weight. It's like when you're walking and you're putting more weight on one leg than the other. Switching. I am, I am, I am, I am. And this is very useful, for example, when we have pieces like for example, because we need to be able to put weight on the M finger, but to have a very light index. Otherwise it sounds, which is not very interesting. And of course, the faster we need to play this kind of structures, the harder it gets. Like, so it's very difficult when you play faster to not go, and bang away at the G string. Once we have this going well for us, then we start doing simultaneous sounding notes, and we're getting a little bit into my original example. So I take a chord, and you can either do what I did in the beginning, have one chord and shift your attention and your weight from one finger to the next. But what I also like is to keep my ear interested, to create little lines around the chord so that it inspires me to exercise the different fingers. So I've created a little melody around the first string. Now, second string. But I still want to hear all the other notes. That's the tricky part. Because so now the I finger. Or the bass. this kind of sums it up. We've slowly worked ourselves from playing notes equally on one string, then giving accents on one string, then on adjacent strings, and then chords. And it's all being done through controlling how deeply you press into the string. There is a whole other way that you can make notes stand out, and that's by using different colors, but that's a whole other story for another episode of my reflections. In the meantime, I hope that you enjoyed this post, and I'm looking forward, as usually, to your feedback and comments and suggestions for future ones. See you soon.